Is this thing on? I think it is. Hello, world! I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned into another live edition of the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. Your daily dose of not just the news, but answers that you can use. It comes in 3 parts, and the first part is really for everybody. I answer a question: what's my favorite video game to stream on Twitch? Because yes, I am streaming now on Twitch. In fact, if you head over to live.pirillo.com, I will not you later. I will you there. In fact, this chat room here behind me, that's what you can join. The chat room's back. And you can join it 24/7, even if I'm not streaming on Twitch 24/7. So I'm going to answer that question. And then I'm going to do an AMA. I'm going to answer all the questions that were asked of me by patrons. That is specifically just for the patrons, though. If you want to be a patron and, get that part of TLDR, you can head over to chrispirillo.com to sign up to become a patron. So there's 2 links for you already. Live.pirillo.com, that redirects to my Twitch profile, and chrispirillo.com, where you can be a patron. The third part of TLDR today, again just for patrons, is Tech News Views, where I dive deeper into the tech news. But before I begin, let me go ahead and show you something very, very nice and very magical. This is my iPad Pro, specifically the super nomies who have pledged at a certain level. I wanted to make sure they got their due. I'm covering up the chat room for a second so that Eric doesn't have to go through and manually copy and paste everything into the chat room as he started to do. But Eric is so nice. Eric is awesome. In fact, over the week, or past week, really before the weekend, he finally saw a movie in the theater with his son, Johnny. You met both of them in my vlog, the daily vlog, which is still happening. We've renumbered them. We're going in order now, and I believe we've pretty much been vlogging daily consecutively for 1,300 days or so. Eric's the one who helped me install my OLED TV. That's where I'm playing Twitch primarily. Although I've got OBS, the Open Broadcaster software, set up so that I can stream from a mobile device, whether I'm playing on the iPad Pro or on the iPhone. So I'm playing on a variety of platforms. Even PC may be a possibility. May. Big May. Even though we're almost in big December. Can you believe this year has just flown by? Where did the time go? I mean, I realize that, it kind of advances on its own, kind of like a presentation, which I built on the web. You could view this presentation on the web. Did you know that? This is web viewable right here. Not just the video that I'm doing, but not of course, the hardware. The hardware, you kind of have to see in person, but the presentation. Did you know you could build presentations on the web? Some people say, well, of course, Chris, it's called the cloud, but you'd be surprised at how many people just don't know that yet. But it is absolutely true. Your name could be here. You could get credit. Thank you again for the support that you've given in whatever ways that you've seen fit. See, there you go. It's live. It's a real chat room with real people. These are my Twitch subs. So on Twitch, what you can do is you can subscribe to somebody and get all sorts of bonuses like higher quality video, being able to join the chat room, etc., etc. Everybody seems to, manage it differently in terms of the value provided to their subs. But I'm having a lot of fun with the chat room. It's kind of nice to have it back and at my back, really. Yesterday, I got through the entire day and I streamed as much as I possibly could. In the evening hours after editing the vlog, after getting everything processed. So I played Disney Infinity for the first time. And I know Disney Infinity is not really a game that's geared towards me. I mean, it is and it isn't. It is because it's really a family-friendly game, no doubt about it. Very, very fun. But it isn't because I'm old. Like I'm old. and it felt at times that I was playing a kid's game, which was fine, I mean, obviously that's kind of who it's geared towards. I had more fun playing Disney Infinity because I got the Boba Fett with the PS4. You get figures and you stand them on the base, and then they unlock certain characters and little other pieces that you set on the base, and then it unlocks a certain type of gameplay, or you can just play along in what they call the toy box, which is exactly what I did for a couple of hours. I just went, bounced here, there, just having fun. And it was challenging. For me, it was massively challenging. I had big issues getting through a few of the puzzles. In fact, towards the end, I ended up on some level where I had to spin around a building and complete puzzles at every level, and I was playing as Boba Fett. That didn't help. I had Buzz Lightyear's backpack, and that didn't help either. I ended up giving up. I couldn't do it. I couldn't beat the timer. So today I'm possibly going to go back. I've had more fun in Disney Infinity than Battlefront. And I know Battlefront's the new game. It's the cool game and everybody shoots everything. Well, that's the problem, is that on Battlefront, all I seem to do well is die. Why? That's not fun. It looks great. No doubt about it. Some of the challenges are fantastic. In fact, that is what I enjoyed most about the game to this point. The Battlefront specifically is these micro challenges, right? You get to through training stages and you can earn stars. And if you do this in a certain amount of time, you get the star. And if you unlock this or you do that, you kill this many enemies, you get this star. And if you do this, so effectively each particular training mission has a set of goals and objectives. And I found that to be far more compelling than getting online and getting my ass kicked. Unless I've got some setting off somewhere. Like, that's apparently in Battlefront, that's the setting I have toggled. Like, total noob when it comes to FPS, first-person shooters. I'm not skilled at aiming, which is why I appreciated Disney Infinity. I'm just mashing buttons. I think this is it. Oh, no. But, ultimately, it didn't feel like I was losing. I mean, I was going through puzzles, and it was a little tricky. The controls were definitely in need of help, and there were some glitches in the game. I'm talking Infinity. But compared to my experience with Battlefront, it was far more rewarding to play in Infinity. Far more rewarding. Because it was fun. And despite it being stylized versus Battlefront, I just didn't feel like I was losing before I even started. And that's what it was. I got online to play with my two brothers, both of whom are far better than I am. A lot of the stuff, because this is what they've been doing for years. They've been playing first-person shooter types of games. And I don't. It's typically not what I've done. I've never excelled at first-person shooters. The first FPS I'd ever seen in my entire life was Doom. Playing on a 386 computer. I remember seeing the graphics. It was stellar. I'm like, I can't believe this. This is just so... Wow. It was beautiful. But I didn't get into it. I got it, but I didn't get into it. It wasn't my thing. Never really became my thing. Even with all the Star Wars games they had released over the years, despite Lord Barrington giving me, I guess, some Steam codes from a humble bundle, I've unlocked a handful of classic Star Wars games, which I plan on playing at least, a few times, if only to know whether or not I like them. I played Super Star Wars for the first time ever on the PS4. It came as an unlock code with the Darth Vader edition, which I unboxed a couple of weeks ago. That's what I've been playing on with the PS4. I've been playing primarily on the PS4, not because I believe it's a superior gaming system. I don't. I really genuinely don't. It's that Twitch integration is fantastic compared to the other options. That doesn't mean it's fantastic outright. Chat is integrated in the stream. So if someone takes a screenshot, they get, their name in chat, or if they're watching the video after it's done, they see the names, right? And I always like doing that in the classic video streams that some people still remember. They say, hey, Chris, you need to bring that back. It is there. TLDR streamed live, specifically for the patrons. And B, the chat is now there 24/7. So you can't sit there and say, hey, you need to bring it back when it's already there. Can't do it. Well, you could, but you would be the one who looks silly. Not me. I look silly, but that's usually intentionally when I'm playing first-person shooters. So, my favorite game to play on Twitch thus far has been Tetris. Believe that or not. I like to get lost in games. I don't, necessarily get bowled over by graphics and that's what necessarily pulls me in. I want good gameplay. I want something that makes me feel like I could play all night and I have to force myself to quit. That's a good game. And Tetris has always been that for me. Always. So I'd expect to see some of that. I also tend to play a lot of iOS games. So now that I've got OBS set up to stream from either my iPhone or my iPad, I plan on continuing to play the games that I've played on mobile. but just doing it onto Twitch with the chat room and everything. I really like the chat there. I really do. Sometimes I'm not inclined to show my face, and you've probably seen that before, not just in the vlog. But I do a lot of FaceTime with you over the coming days for people who are patrons. You'll get some special broadcasts. I've got a project I'm working on tomorrow and Wednesday. Thursday TLDR will be back, but tomorrow and Wednesday. That would be Tuesday and Wednesday as of today, which is a Monday morning. I'm going to be doing an audio broadcast because I'm working on something special. I can't tell you about it yet. It's related to tech, and you'll flip out when you see it. But it's kind of secretive at this moment. So patrons will get a special, very, 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 very special broadcast, live audio feed. If I can figure out the live audio portion, I can do the video is easy. The video. But I want to just do audio because of certain circumstances. So I don't have a favorite game outright because there are a lot of games that I want to play. I don't think I'm ever going to hang my hat on a certain kind of game. If it's a Star Wars game, I'll try it once. Super Star Wars, I mentioned I played, but I was well past it. I'm like, this was great back in the day-ish, but it was a challenge and a half for me. And maybe I wasn't doing it right. I don't know. Maybe I'll come back to it eventually. But, I'm really more of a classic game kind of fan. Tetris. Tetris wins me over. It's simple. The gameplay is simple, and yet I can play for hours. And that, to me, that's what I want. And Battlefront was almost the opposite of that. I wanted to play. I want to keep playing. But the problem is there's no story mode. There's no real puzzles, per se. I mean, there are. But I just keep getting my ass kicked. And I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep playing. I'm not going to quit. But I would say Disney Infinity, if I had like a first-person shooter type of game, even though I wouldn't necessarily consider that a first-person shooter kind of game, a 3D exploring kind of world game, that was more my style, honestly. And, so yeah, I don't know if that surprises you at all. I've only just begun streaming on Twitch, looking for recommendations. Now that you know what kind of games I like, yes, Star Wars, yes. More Infinity than Battlefront, not just because of the figures that you could collect either. I do have the Darth Vader one. I haven't played as Darth Vader. I'm playing as Boba Fett now because I guess it's an exclusive for the PS4. I got that, the Infinity set on sale, 35% off. Can you believe that? I can't. But I told you how to get it. I told you how to save money. Some guy on Facebook's not even paying attention. He says, how do you get all these things? I'm like, I've explained this to you. I earn gift cards. Okay? I earn gift cards. That's how I do it. You can do the same thing. Okay. I am going to move on to the AMA portion of today's broadcast. I appreciate everything that you've done to this point, and including paying attention, and potentially following on Twitch to see what game I'm going to play next. I tend not to play games when someone tells me, hey, play this game. No, hey, I got to be in the mood for it, right? You can't just, walk into something you're not in the mood for. It's like, unless I'm not sure what I want to eat, I usually have an idea of what I want to eat. Does that make sense? Right? It's like kind of the video game, you got to be hungry for it. At a moment's notice, I can play Tetris. No problem. I can do it. In fact, I can probably do that on mobile. I haven't played Tetris mobile in eons. But I am looking for recommendations. Always looking for a good recommendation. Thank you for paying attention. I am going to move on to the patron portion of, really, TLDR. This is what I do every single weekday, so there's tons more tech talk. I've got to move on to the Ask Me Anything thread, and there are tons of tech questions for me to answer right now, and that's what I'm going to do, specifically for those who have supported me by way of ChrisPirillo.com. Today's free podcast highlight was brought to you by all of my active patrons from ChrisPirillo.com. If you want access to the full TLDR episodes, both audio, video, past, present, and future, which can be up to an hour long or longer, with even more tech insight from me every weekday, plus other bonus content without ads, and support me at the same time, you can sign up to become one of my supernomies too. This is just a brief taste of what I'm producing for you daily. Again, get more through ChrisPirillo.com.